Good afternoon. My name is Candia. I will deliver this presentation this afternoon. If you have any questions, please write down. And we have a Q&A question that we will able to answer some of your questions. So today we were talking about eyewear testing to European directives. And there is some of the European directive related to eyewear products. First is about the medical device. Second is about the personal protection equipment device, and also the CE marking directive, and also about the REACH directive for the chemical issues related to eyewear products. So we have categorized the products into two major categories. One is medical device. For ophthalmic products like spectacle frames, spectacle lenses, reading glasses, mount spectacles, and also for the prescription spectacles, it's all under medical device. And for personal protection device, such as eye protection products, safety spectacle frames, safety goggles, sunglasses, ski goggles, and also for some filtering lenses, and also like swimming goggles, goggles for snowmobiles, all these eye protectors are under the personal protective device in Europe. And this is some of the description about these two different device, European directive. First, about the medical directive, the number is the old numbers, because most of my customers still remember the old numbers. So that's the reason why I call the old European directive number regarding medical device. And actually, the new directive number is 2007/47/EC, and that the spectacle frames products under the class 1A, that means it's minimum control. Okay, and the personal protection equipment directive is for class 1 product is like sunglasses. Okay, and that is some simple design for some protection. And class 2 products like the safety goggle, safety spectacle frames, face shield, all these are under class 2. And class 3 is more comprehensive design, like some kind of built-in products, like for use for the welding. Okay, so this is a class 3 product. Today we will mainly focus on consumer products. So there's also some product is across two directives, such as the safety spectacle frames. They are at the same time they are providing eye protection. On the other hand, they are providing the corrective of the eyesight. So that's the reason why they are close to European requirements. And for sunglasses, if there's ready-use sunglasses, it's mainly for PPE products. But if it is a sunglasses for prescription uses, then we also have to consider they are for both directives. So for REACH directive numbers, is also one is very concerned about the nickel. Okay, so the nickel release is under actually the REACH directive entry 27 for Annex 27. Okay, for the reasons we have to test for our products mainly because in each reference standard they have a very clear requirement to mention that nickel release should be tested if the products of the eyewear products has any metal part contact with skin. Okay, so this is some of the reference standard like spectacle frames, sunglasses, reading glasses, and also prescription frame. So we will actually go through much detail here. So today we will only mainly focus on, as I say, consumer products. So we will talk about spectacle frames, sunglasses, and reading glasses. First, about the spectacle frames, the reference numbers for testing is EN/ISO 12870. So this is normally we will test according to the test plan given by the reference standard. Usually we will first check on the sample 1 for constructions, and then the dimensional tolerance, dimensional stability, and also for resistance to perspiration. Finally, resistance to ignition. This is the sample 1 test plan. And sample 2, we will do the bridge deformation, lens retention, endurance. And sample 3 and 4, we will do the nickel release if there is any metal part contact with skin. there is also one optional test, resistant optical radiation. That is really depending on the customers or the buyer. They will need that test or not, okay? But for mandatory requirement is from test number 1 to test number 8 plus nickel release. So this is some of the photos about the test. So this is actually the frame size testing. We have two methods. One is using the frame tracer. Another one is using the caliper to measure the frame size. Okay, frame size is quite important for our industry. That's because the frame size, like our clothing, it tells how big is the frame. Okay, so if you have a customer walking in the optical stores, and you can look at how big is his head, and then you can estimate how big is the frame he needs, you can introduce to them. So the frame size is one important criteria for the staff at an optical store to tell which size is fitting the consumers. Another reason is also because of the lens size. So we have usually measured 3 sizes in the frame. One is lens size, one is the DBL, one is about the temporal length. Okay? So the lens size is also able to tell, in the old days, the opticians, how big is the lenses he requires to order for the frame. So that's the reason why the frame size is very important for our industry at the retail levels, that they have to make as a reference for the consumers and for the lens they need to order. So, and then we have light resistant to ignition. That is one of the tests to test the material flammability. So we expect most of the products are not flammable. Okay, so that's the reason why for this resistant to ignition test is almost you can find in all eyewear industry. Eyewear reference standard that we need to test this resistant ignition. And we have also resistant to perspiration. Because we test a spectacle frame, we assume that frame is able to use, let's say, for 2 years, okay? So if we wear the frame every day, we will sweat. So the standard is written this test because we hope this human sweat will not corrode the frames or damage the coating, damage the colors. So this is a minimum requirement to fulfill the resistant to perspiration. After 8 hours, we don't expect any spotting on the frame. We don't expect any color change on the frames. After 24 hours, we're expecting the frame is still not corroded, no any coating the separation. So the frame coating should be as good as expected. And also one of the tests is thermal stability. We will put the frame in the oven, and then after that, we will measure again the major dimensions of the frame to make sure that the material or the form of the frame will not change too much after the thermal test. It is also because the size of the frame you are able to fit is only for you. So if the temperature will change the material or the frame form, that means you might not able to fit to the frames anymore, and you have to bring this frame to the shop to readjust to fitting to your face again. So this is the reason why the thermal stability test is also one of the important criteria for frame industry. Another 2 tests is frame mechanical test. Here is one is testing the bridge deformation and lens retention. And this is mainly because of the frame. In a shop, we need to adjust it to fit to the consumers. So if the frame is very easy to be deformed, okay, or very hard to be deformed, that means it's very difficult to adjust or the material is too soft. So bridge deformation and also lens retention is also one important criteria for the frame, because the frame is designed to hold the lenses, okay? And if the frame under this 5 Newton force is popping out, that means the lens retention capacity is not meeting the minimum requirement. Okay, you can imagine 5 Newton is around 500 grams. It's very, very small force, okay? And the other mechanical test is the endurance. We are testing, I saw most of you are from the industry, so I hope you understand. We are testing the hinges, about 500 cycles, and then after that, we expected the hinge are still moving as expected. So the hinge function, if they are normal hinges, they are still able to hold the temples. If they are spring hinges, they are still able to perform the spring functions. okay? And this is the mandatory requirement for the frame for the frame test. And this is what I have copied from the standard. The table 2 is actually the test plan for the frame. So that's the reason why normally when the customer asks how many samples I need to send, we normally say, okay, 3 if no nickel release. Okay, and if there is metal part contact with skin, then we will ask for 5. So this is having the reference standard to state how many tests we need and which tests should be followed, which test is the sequence is already well defined on the test standard. So it is not, sometimes they will say, okay, why I need to send 3, not 2, okay? So everything is written on the standard. So we are trying to follow the standard to test according to the sequence and also the procedures. And also for this flow chart, you can see there is a flow chart to see when is how to define if the frames are compliant to the CE requirements. So if both sample 1 and sample 2 compliance to all the tests required on the sequence, okay, and the test plan, then you can mark CE, okay, because it's compliance to the regulations for the harmonized reference standard, okay. And if there's one fail, you have to improve your products, and then we send the sample for retest, and if it is passed, then we still can claim it is compliance to CE requirements. Okay, so this is about the frame test. And after you test it, you have to mark on the frames. So first, of course, very important, CE. That means your compliance, okay? Second, about the important information like the model number, the label of the frames, like such as trademark, brand name, or the distributor's name, and also the frame size, okay? The DBL size, the lens size, the tempo size, okay? And also the color identification. So this will tell the product the product identification. And this is about single vision ready-to-wear spectacle frames. Actually, it's very similar to the spectacle frames. Okay, spectacle frame is actually we have to display in the store for the customer to select, and then the opticians will do the eye exams, and then they will put the prescription lenses onto the spectacle frames. And this is actually ready-to-wear. So you can find the ready-to-wear readers not just in optical stores. Maybe you are able to find them in drugstores or supermarket, okay, or even in some newsstand, okay. So this is actually a ready-to-wear. And from the standard, there's 3 major parts we have to look into. First is about the refractive properties, the optical power of the lenses. Second part is the frame requirement, same as the previous standards on the spectacle frames, that since this is a frame with prescription lenses, so we also have to consider about the lens requirements. Okay? So I don't repeat again for the frame requirements. I will more focus on what we will do on the lens. Okay? First about the lens power. Okay? The lens should have a power of, did I wrote it here? No, okay. Between plus 100 to plus 350 optical power on the lenses, okay? So sometimes you will see a label say plus 1.00, that means it's 100 degrees, we'll say in Chinese, okay? And maximum 350 degrees is allowed as a ready-to-wear. If you need a higher power, you have to go to the optical stores to ask for eye examination to make sure which power you need. Okay, so for ready-to-wear, it's only in the range of 100 to 350 in Europe. Okay, so this is the power we will measure by the photometer. It's very important that we will have to identify the PD of the lenses. Okay, so each frames will mark decay PD of the frame. So most of the customer they will mark 62. Okay, but actually this is not mandatory to mark 62. It's really depending on the frame size, okay? And if the frame size is, we would say, quite standard size, maybe 62 is quite suitable. But if it is a big frame, okay, maybe for a very big size of persons, and maybe he has a PD of 70, and this frame is suiting for that kind of persons, then you have to decide which PD is suitable for that frame. And that is the PD is actually about the frames that we are able to focus. And so this is the power we need to measure about the spherical power, astigmatic power, and also the prismatic imbalance. And this is one of the very important criteria for reading glasses. And after this, we will test the again, the frame test. And then the lens test, we will consider about the surface quality of the lenses, okay? And also we'll consider about the mechanical strength of the lenses, okay? And this is the three major criteria of the lens quality. If there is tinted colors on the lenses, we will also recommend to do the transmittance test. Because when there's tinted colors, maybe we have to mark the category numbers on the lenses. So that's the reason why if customers sending a frames that with these tinted colors for reading glasses, then they have to consider 2 more tests. So after all these tests, the refractive powers and also the frame test and the lens test, then again go to the marking requirement. First, CE marking is required, and also we have to mark according to the standard that there is some minimum requirements. We need to mark like the PD, the frame identification of model number, color number, frame size, etc. And very important, the warning label. Because for reading glasses, it is ready to wear for near vision use only. You can consider when you're driving a car, you are not just using the near vision portions, you also have to use the middle range and also the far visions. So that's the reason why for reading glass, when you wear it, it is not recommended to use for driving. So this warning label is very important to put on the product. And same as the frame test, if there's any, for example, the power is not compliance to the decay power or the decay PD, we have to improve and retest it again, okay? So this is about the reading glasses. And the first section is about the fashion spectacle frame and sunglasses for general use, and we are talking about long prescription use. Okay, so for that part, actually there's a reference standard, and we will normally test according to the reference standard for these requirements. First, we will test about the transmittance. Okay, transmittance properties from the UV range to the visible range. We will first identify, according to the reference standard, which measurement point we have to measure. According to the European standard, we have to measure with reference to the reference headphone. Okay, and we have 2. One is adult, one is children. So if it is adult use sunglasses, we have to use a headphone to identify their PD, the visual center of the frames, and we will mark the measurement point on the lenses, and we will then put the lenses on fixtures, and then put it on the spectrophotometers and measure from 280 to 780 range of UV and visible range to get the lens data. And then we will consider also the frames are able to meet the requirement for driving and road use. Okay, there's 2 requirements that are set by the reference standard, that if the frames are category 0, 1, 2, or 3, they should be suitable for driving use. Okay, so and we have to make sure that they are suitable for driving use. There's 2 criteria. One is the traffic light recognitions. So if you are using the sunglasses Also, when you are driving a car, so you have to, you are able to recognize the traffic light colors. So that's one criteria. The second criteria is the spectral transmittance at 475 to 650. At this range, you should have a minimum requirement to meet the reference standard. So if these two criteria are fulfilled, then this lens at category 0 to 3 are just able to confirm it is meeting the requirement for driving and road use. And also if the lenses are claimed it is UV protection. Normally most of the sunglasses at 100% UV blocking. Okay? And then we have to evaluate on the UV range. Are they really 100% blocking the UV light? Okay, so this is some of the tests on this transmittance test we have to evaluate. Nowadays also some of the sunglasses that they are able to reduce blue light transmittance. Okay, and if they claim this, we will have to ask how much blue light transmittance you claim the lenses are able to meet. Then we will evaluate all the factors one by one to see if all the requirements are met according to the reference standard. There is also the if the lenses are polarizing lenses, we will have to measure the plane of polarization axis and measure also the lenses in two ways. One is the parallel, and the other is on the other axis to do the transmittance test. For here is what else, okay. So we have, after all these tests, we will also need to put the lenses, the sample one, the lenses onto a xenon light for 50 hours radiation test. And this is the aging test to make sure that after the 50 hours, the lenses, the minimum performance of the lenses are still meeting the European requirements. So after 50 hours of xenon light radiation test, we will do once again the transmittance test. So the transmittance test from all the parameters they are able to fulfill. We expect after this 50 hours, the lenses are still able to perform all the requirements from the UV requirement, the visible, suitable for driving, if they claim for blue light, if they claim for AR coating. So all this we have to do it once again. And this is for the category number. On the sample 2, we will do the optical power. Okay, we will do the optical power for make sure that because it is a ready to wear, we don't expect there is any power on the lenses. Okay, so if we measure this is any power more than 12, it is failed. Okay, on both lenses. After this, we will do the prismatic power, prismatic imbalance, make sure that the prismatic requirements are still able to meet the standard. And sample 3, we will have to do the dropout test or the minimum robustness depending on the customer selection. Most of the customer will select the dropout test to claim the lenses are level 1. If the customer claim a higher requirements, for example, level 2 string or level 3 high-speed particle, resistant to high-speed particles, then we have to test more samples to make sure that they are able to provide protection against high-speed particles. This is a little bit too small, okay? This is the table for the one complete sunglasses. We have to go through all these tests, okay? From sample 1, sample 2, sample 3, sample 4. In case the lenses, the sunglasses has metal part contact with skin, then we have to test 2 more samples, ask for 2 more samples for nickel release test. If the sample is claimed the lenses are having the hard coating for anti-abrasions, or they have anti-reflection coating, we have to ask for 2 more samples for doing the hard coating test and also the anti-reflection luminous refractiveness measurement. And if the lenses are, the frame are coated to meet the level 2 or level 3 strain, we will also need additional sample to test. So this is all the samples have their test requirements to fulfill. So this is for the complete sunglasses. If there's a keep-on, this is keep-on. So we have a spherical frame here. Okay, the spherical frame has to test for the spherical standard, and then there's a keep-on. Then the keep-on also have to go through the sunglass standard. So for this product, you have to test for the spherical frame, ISO 12870, and then for the keep-on, you have to fulfill this table's requirements. Okay, to make sure that they are able to fulfill the European requirement for the keep-on. So this is the major test plan. Again, if there's any failure item, we expect the manufacturer will improve, and then we send the sample for retest. So this is for the sunglasses. After all the tests, then we will have to mark. Okay, I think this is a very important for PPE marking. One is about the category number. So when we measure the luminous transmittance and they are within a range of the category numbers, then we will mark the category numbers. And there's also some definition of the category number you can use, okay? And also you have marked about the product information like the trademark or the product number, color numbers, and category numbers. And also, if there's also some requirement we have to mark, such as if the frames are category 4, not suitable for driving, or if the frames are fail on the driving use requirements, then we have to put warning label. Okay, and also this is also other some warning requirements we have to set in the hand tag or the product brochure. Okay, about how to use the lenses or what is the impact level, and this is sunglasses for general use. You should not use that for direct observation of the sun. So this is all the warning we have to put on the products to make sure that the consumers, when they buy the products, they get the user information, they understand this is some requirements that they should understand. Okay, so this is about the products, and then we have, okay, sorry. So this is the final part about the reach of the test requirement related to eyewear products. So I make a summary, like nickel release is the most highly concerned item because all the reference standards about eyewear will wrote nickel release has to be tested if there is any metal part direct or prolonged contact with skin. So this is directly related to eyewear product. Second is about the cadmium and also about the total lead and phthalates, PAH. All this is some customer will concern if there is a risk when they do the risk assessment during the pre-production stages, and they find there's some item maybe have some concerns on the chemical issues, then the customer may set up their test plan additional on the fundamental test requirements about the products, and on addition on the nickel release, they may also request for cadmium on the plastic, okay, or coating, total lead on coating or the metal, and also the phthalates, and also for the PAH if there is any rubber parts. Okay, so there is also one of the tests is quite often being asked by our customers. That is about the screening test on the REACH directive. Is about the SVHC, the substance of very high concerns. Okay, this is about 168 items are listed in this list, but normally that is not much customer will ask for it. But this is also one of the concern about the REACH. And yes, so this is about my presentation. It's a little bit too rushed, right? Okay, so is that any question? Then you can write down the question on your paper. Then we can handle it on the Q&A session. So. Thank you.